Halagba. A dollar queen show my body the ledger. Baby girl. Ori buru kutieko. When she binja, but tobacco in a danger. Original Power Ranger. Low self-esteem, unbelieve you better not danger. Someone down to the corner. Couldn't swear, couldn't rare, I'ma come to the center. Keep working at what's the goal. You get potential to no use, brother. What's the do? Banderu, Erun Doba, go baku, Ochima Joba, Banderu, Erun Doba, just stay alive, Ochima Joba, just stay alive, just don't give up, just don't die, don't throw in the towel, don't tap out, don't back down, don't give up,
I know the tire, never tire, mini, mo. Jimmy, when I put on all buff, yes, like a lioness, protecting her cup, taking a priest that just gonna be on course. And I'm at ya, and I'm in my down, and hero. If you stand in my way, I'm a crusher. God, I defend, I won't get my surrender. One nigga sick and oral. Never giving, never mind what people say. When you make it, the all gonna be up. And then checking out to put all of your head. Born you to tell the cheerful. Keep it up, do what you came here for. Don't let go. You wanna really gotta make it grow. You wanna really gotta keep doing biggie, yeah. Keep doing biggie till finally blow. You finally blow. Make it to try. Yes, you can make it. Just keep moving. Never tire. Yes, you can make it. You can make it. Just keep doing it. To try. Just keep moving. Let's go. Never tire. Oh, I know the tire. I'm feeling the flow. I know the tire. I know the tire. Let's go. I'm feeling the flow. I know the tire. Let's go. I know the tire. That's my brother. Shout out to you. In the building. I know the tire. I know the tire. Let's go. Never give up. I know the tire.
All right.
I know the tire.
That's what's up, baby. You know what I'm saying? Never give up. You know what I'm saying?
That's how we roll,
No matter how many times you fail, stand up again and do it again. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying?
Never give up.
Oga, we dare till morning now. This picture's not the link. Make we do then go back.
I don't know, Greg. There's something going on.
It's to do what now running.
Up to something, no be smarting. Check my melody, stop the darling. Talk to my baby, wait, I'm coming. Yeah, we up to something. Artist down, Baku, Richie, naughty. Bigger than Marin, don't be funny. Them they feel me from Ogogo Michael. Down to Asia, Colombia calling. If not for money, get them plenty. Ask me for money whenever you see me. Another reason when they go they feel me, and they go they quality when I do for TV. Who do this thing where they make them say, who give them waiting they make them say.
You know we got the master plan to make the money pile up. Look what you made me do. You know they say we never die, we multiply. Look what you made me do. Up to something, no be small thing. The bank is calling, the money piling. It's not short thing, we are balling. So exciting, one day what I go.
Maven.
Some people just they make mad, but their money not all you. We know they see I'm at all. We getting moolah, but we can't shine. Now why your baby they call. No mercy, we still live balling. We know they fuss, but still we run it. We call shot, keep it on 100. And go tell your bank to come borrow money. And tell your girls it's time to come jolly. Yeah. Don't show up if you ain't got money. Paid my dues, so when you're paying cash only. Out of the road, so we step in at the church. Everybody feeling good, giving glory to the Most High. The money long, so we burn till the sundown. A celebration, we dey pan it all night. Some people they just they hate them, will turn up with lights. But you know for maybe no shaking. No.
Who do this thing where they make them say, who give them waiting they make them say.
You know we got the master plan to make the money pile up. Look what you made me do. You know they say we never die, we multiply. Look what you made me do. Up to something, no be small thing. The bank is calling, the money piling. It's not short thing, we are balling. So exciting, one day what I go.
Maven.
No time for no darling on the way up. Plenty dirty fit you cause you plenty hold up. As you can see, Don Jazzy got me turned up. And nothing can stop me, I'm all the
too bad, now we running every city. All the fine girls steady ringing, now we sell it. Hot stuff, now we gonna felly. And when you hear the bass, feel the rumble, now you're belly.
It's been a long time coming, no be my mind. When you hear the music, it be trending, no be my mind. Money stacked up to the ceiling, no be my mind. You making us down with the spending, no be my mind. The people sweating, they feel the heating. We in the kitchen, there's something cooking. No baking soda, the game is over. We're sitting on top of one day, you what I do.
Who do this thing where they make them say, who give them waiting they make them say.
You know we got the master plan to make the money pile up. Look what you made me do. You know they say we never die, we multiply. Look what you made me do. Up to something, no be small thing. The bank is calling, the money piling. This not short thing, we are balling. So exciting, one day you want to go.
Don't get it twisted, it's Puff T on the beat.
One look been no sorry, pick up, put it down. For sure, Iggy Aruwe. Baby Sungbalaja, you supposed to be straight with me. Oh, aloya bara, Ìgbà tí màá lówó Olúwa ló mọ̀. Orí ìjà mi ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́, baby já lọ ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Àwọn tó ń là mí tí ó fọyín gan, màmá gbàdá lẹ́yìn mi. Baby dán mi wò lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, parí pé mo rọ̀ kẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Àwọn tó ń kó mi jẹ tí wọ́n mú mi lè kàn má ṣe padà lẹ́yìn mi. Why you carry fire for your head? 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 Baby, give it to me, take it up and down. Tell me, what do you see when you look around? One day with you, oh, I don't have a ìgbà tí màá lówó Olúwa ló mọ̀. Baby, we go do it too. I dey gbádùn your waist too. We go fly for Morocco, we go enter Toronto. Yeah. Give it to me, baby, farabalẹ̀ no dey complain no. Girl, you're pretty cool, I dey fire, make we try it. Orí ìjà mi ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́, baby já lọ ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Àwọn tó ń là mí tí ó fọyín gan, màmá gbàdá lẹ́yìn mi. Baby dán mi wò lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, parí pé mo rọ̀ bí ẹ̀kọ́. Àwọn tó ń kó mi jẹ tí wọ́n mú mi lè kàn má ṣe padà lẹ́yìn mi. Why you carry fire for your head? Má lọ rò mí pín. Why you carry fire for your head? Kúrò pẹ́kẹ́ ṣíṣí má lọ bá a lé mi. Why you carry fire for your head? Wọ́n ló pẹ́ náà sórí. Why you carry fire for your head? Wọ́n ló pẹ́ náà sórí. We go put it down. Àpọ́nlé ni Mr. Adéwálé. Call me Mayor Good. You supposed to be well with us. So má lọ yà bàrà. Ìgbà tí màá lówó Olúwa ló mọ̀. Orí ìjà mi ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́, baby já lọ ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Àwọn tó ń là mí tí ó fọyín gan, màmá gbàdá lẹ́yìn mi. Baby dán mi wò lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, parí pé mo rọ̀ kẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Àwọn tó ń kó mi jẹ tí wọ́n mú mi lè kàn má ṣe padà lẹ́yìn mi. Why you carry fire for your head? Má lọ rò mí pín. Why you carry fire for your head? Kúrò pẹ́kẹ́ ṣíṣí má lọ bá a lé mi. Why you carry fire for your head? Wọ́n ló pẹ́ náà sórí. Why you carry fire for your head?
If I get money,
Yo, this is the remix.
Music on the mix.
What's that?
Boy Magneto.
Plenty money day. Read this. Yo, this is the remix. Money day. As I get money, I can start to enjoy. I open my company, all my village people now here I employ. Everybody went on me before, come they call me your Gabon boy. I marry my girlfriend, you know reach 2 weeks, now she born boy.
As I get money,
I signed big footballers. I signed Mikel Obi. I know ask her how much I paid him in dollars. There's nothing money cannot do. I made Messi go keep her for bonus. If I write exam, I know the border again. I don't care if I come last.
As I get money,
What do you do?
I call my landlord. I tell him to tell me the cost of his property just in one word.
My brother Pato, as I get my own money, I begin to diet. I want to become the next Methuselah. I'm not ready to diet. 150 years is not too much, and that is my target. Rubber, day, 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 rubber,
Money day,
rubber, day, rubber,
money
day,
day.
rubber, day.
As I get money, I start to import. All the ugly girls with the lucky face one, I start to export. Then go they follow me for Instagram, I see yes, say I the hot. $10 on the para, say he must to carry me go court.
As I get money, I enter Monaco. I carry my 3 Igbo wives in Kechichi and Adako. Put in the masala, duka kuzogi dana mpaku. Na so EFCC every day, na me and begin a taco.
As I get money, I go do meeting with NEPA. I give their organ money, they no go take this light again, never.
Nice idea, Pato Ranking, my brother. The approach is clever. Like rich monk, I dey dash my money on a daily to whoever. Rubber, day, 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 rubber, day. Rubber day, 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 rubber day.
It's Jewies on the NTA2Lagos Network Center.
Looking for a place to relax and unwind after a tiring day? Lagos Resource Center is it. A place of hospitality and relaxation. An interaction center for retreats, AGMs, lectures, conferences, social activities for corporate bodies, individuals and religious groups. The Lagos Resource Center offers you various range of rooms such as standard, deluxe, semi-suites and suites for your comfort. Try out our pastries, Nigerian and international dishes as our Bethany kitchen makes you ask for more. Our hall of various sizes are fully equipped with state-of-the-art facilities and up-to-date training equipment. We also offer professional outdoor catering services, all to your taste and delight. Visit our beautiful chapel for your meditation and prayers after a busy day. You can locate us at 9 Anifowoshe Street off Adiola Odeku Street or Okofo Abayomi Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. For further inquiries, call 070-3314-1149 or 080-7502-8582. Email recenter@yahoo.co.uk. Lagos Resource Center, relaxation, serenity and hospitality at its peak.
Let us plant a tree today. Make the rain fall, keep the desert away. Let us plant a tree today. Make the rain fall, keep erosion away.
The climate's changing because of burning oil and cutting down forests. Climate change will give our children floods, hunger, drought and poverty. Trees give oxygen, rain and shelter. Let's make Nigeria green again and plant trees to secure our children's future.
Let us plant a tree today.
NTA2Lagos Network Center brings you broadcast service.
NTA International News.
25th Commonwealth Heads of State and Government Summit targets future of 2.4 billion people of the Commonwealth. Bangladesh joins League of Developing Nations of the World, hopes for stronger ties with Nigeria. Commodity Forum in place to support rural farmers in the Savannah Belt in Nigeria. Hello and thank you for joining us. This is the news on NTA International and I am Lami Ali. President Muhammad Buhari has joined 57 other heads of state and government for the 2018 Commonwealth Summit in London, the British capital, towards the common future. For the Commonwealth's 2.4 billion people being the major focus of the summit, which is the 25th in the series. State House correspondent Adam Musombo has the details.
Holding for the first time in London since 1997, the Commonwealth leaders are here to chart a pragmatic course towards ensuring that at all times the Commonwealth is responsive to global challenges and delivers a more prosperous, secure, sustainable and fair future for all its citizens.
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
In a unique Commonwealth tradition, the heads of state and government were ushered into the ballroom of Buckingham Palace, opened in 1856 for the official start of the biannual meeting last held in the island nation of Malta in 2015.
No one else can speak the words on your lips. Judge yourself in words unspoken. Live your life with arms wide open.
Queen Elizabeth II, who declared the two-day summit opened, welcomed the leaders to her own home and observed with pride as well as satisfaction that the Commonwealth, as one of the world's greatest convening powers, is a flourishing network.
It is my sincere wish that the Commonwealth will continue to offer stability and continuity for future generations. I believe we will secure a safer, more prosperous and sustainable world for those who follow us.
Describing her service to the Commonwealth as a great pleasure and honor, the Queen appealed to the leaders to appoint her son, Prince Charles, to succeed her, although the role is not hereditary. Other speakers at the opening, including the British Prime Minister Theresa May, challenged participants to take on some of the 21st century biggest questions. Mrs. May in particular noted that there have been difficulties, successes as well as controversies, but wholeheartedly believes in the good that the Commonwealth can do.
Our responsibility as leaders is to build a Commonwealth that we can be proud to hand on to the next generation.
I pray that this Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting will not only revitalise the bonds between our countries, but will also give the Commonwealth a renewed relevance to all its citizens, finding practical solutions to their problems and giving life to their aspirations.
We believe in the Commonwealth. We have faith in the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting is a springboard for action. It is the launch pad that propels us onward, upward, forward, together.
Over the next 2 days, the participating heads of state and government will be discussing issues of common interest, including ocean conservation, cybersecurity, and trade amongst member countries. From London, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And away from the Commonwealth, Nigeria's military collaboration with the multinational Joint Task Force and support from friendly nations like the United States has been instrumental to the achievements in the fight against Boko Haram. The Minister of Defense, Mansour Ali, said this in a message to the closing ceremony of the 2018 African Land Forces Summit in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has the details.
Of different terror groups and organizations have accounted for instability in some African countries, with terrorism having no regards for boundaries and race. These African Land Forces Service chiefs and those from the U.S. African Command are united in the cause to address the dynamism in their common security threats.
We must have been aware of the various collaborative initiatives and concerted efforts that have been put in place not only to ensure a secure Africa, but to also attain global security.
Deliberations at the summit with 40 African countries and the U.S. in attendance focused on how to ensure effective command and control of operations to combat insurgency, proliferation of small and light weapons, and piracy on the Gulf of Guinea.
The cooperation that has been existing over the years between Nigeria and the United States of America has strongly been put in the forefront. We've enjoyed a number of support through the provision of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance facilities.
Those of us who wear military uniforms have committed ourselves to a life of service, defending and protecting others. Let us never forget the tremendous faith and confidence that has been placed in us.
Botswana have secured the hosting right for the next African Land Forces Summit. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Now to diplomatic matters. Gender-based violence took center stage as the global financial meetings of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and World Bank Group 2018 Spring Summit in Washington, D.C. Bosade Abel reports that delegates believe the issue is a global problem that needs coordinated effort to tackle.
Since 2013, a World Health Organization data reveals that 1 in every 3 women has been beaten, coerced into sex or abused, and 1 in 5 women are sexually abused as a child. This, delegates at the spring meeting say, must be addressed.
Almost 1/3 of women around the world who've been in a relationship have experienced violence by their intimate partner. WHO, the World Health Organization, estimates that the prevalence of intimate partner violence is as high as 43%.
The latest World Health Organization report indicates that women who have been physically or sexually abused are 16% more likely to have a low birth weight baby and are twice as likely to have an abortion, while a UNAIDS report puts it that such women and girls are 50% more likely to acquire HIV in some regions of the world.
It's really important to involve men and boys, because without that it's very difficult to have real change.
There's lots of social harms. Children are vulnerable to rape, to murder.
The United Nations Population Fund is currently working in about 135 countries to address violence against women and has invested more than $93 million 2 years ago to eliminating gender-based violence and harmful practices.
It is hoped that this will reduce the 38% of women said to be murdered around the world by their partner, compared to just 6% of men, and also address unequal earnings, overworking, underpaid, and others. From Washington, D.C., I am Bosade Ebu.
Nigeria and Bangladesh are hoping to improve bilateral relations as they share experiences in the areas of developments, poverty alleviation, infrastructure developments, and fighting terrorism for the mutual interests of their people. just as the People's Republic of Bangladesh celebrates her graduation from the United Nations list of least developed countries and now a developing nation. The Bangladesh Acting High Commissioner to Nigeria hopes Nigeria reciprocates the initiative of opening their mission in Bangladesh. Justin Bemunyi reports.
The South Asian country, Bangladesh, one of the world's most densely populated countries with a population of more than 160 million people, became independent on 26 March 1971 from Pakistan. For the second time in the history of independence, on March 16, 2018, the country was adorned with a crown for its achievements in development, as she became eligible for graduation from the UN list of least developed countries, LDC. Only 5 countries were able to graduate from the LDC group. These include Botswana, Cape Verde, Maldives, Samoa, and Equatorial Guinea, with Bangladesh being the only country that met all 3 criteria of gross national income per capita, Human Assets Index, and Economic Vulnerability Index. Bangladesh and Nigeria enjoy friendly bilateral relations ever since the establishment of diplomatic ties in the 70s, and the potentials for enhancement of trade and economic cooperation between the 2 countries is immense, especially now with Bangladesh taking its status to a new height.
You know, Bangladesh, despite being a developed country, they have advanced in some other sectors, especially in pharmaceuticals, ICT, and education. And they have also an excellent military outfit, and Nigeria has been collaborating on that. Nigeria has just launched an economy recovery growth plan. Nigeria is diversifying its economy, so we wish that Bangladesh, where they have comparative advantage, they should be able to team with us and help Nigeria to achieve that for the benefit of the 2 countries.
Graduation of this Asian nation from the less developed countries would be an important stepping stone to her aspiration to become an advanced economy as envisioned in the Vision 2041. While there are challenges, the authorities say new windows and opportunities will also be opened up for Bangladesh with this graduation process. In Abuja, Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Many thanks, Justin. Now, earlier we had in the studio Bangladesh Acting High Commissioner to Nigeria, Her Excellency Shahnaz Ghazi. Here is an excerpt of the interview.
We are very happy to be able to graduate from the LDC list. You know, it happened last March, last month. By becoming eligible, Bangladesh has taken its status to a new height. The LDC category was introduced in 1971. Coincidentally, this is the year when Bangladesh got its independence from Pakistan. At that time, there were only 25 LDC countries, and in 2018, the number has increased to 47. And so far, only 5 countries have been able to graduate from the LDC group, and Bangladesh is the only country that met all the 3 criteria for this graduation, including GNI per capita, Human Assets Index, and Economic Vulnerability Index.
All right, we understand that the Bangladesh scales through 3 basic graduation criteria to attain this new status. How did you do this? I mean, what were the processes that you put in place to achieve these goals?
You see, firstly, the credit mostly goes to our leadership. When we started our journey in 1971, we had to start from scratch. You know, in 9-month-long liberation war, 3 million people died, 10 million people, refugees, had to flee to our neighboring country. So we started, we really had little to start with. But our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he made us dream of a country of Sonar Bangla, that means Golden Bengal. But he was assassinated in 1975 with along with most of his family members. Only two of his daughters are alive, and the first daughter is now our Prime Minister. So it is her leadership, it is her vision, and it is the effort and unity of our people that that gave us development and took us where we are now.
All right, talking about Bangladesh towards sustainability, what's your prospective plan towards Vision 2021 and 2041?
Thank you. As I told before, our leadership, they have different development plans. One is Vision 2021. Okay. In the year 2021 marks the 50th anniversary of our independence. So by 2021, our leadership want our people to have less poverty and better living standard for all our people, rule of law. So these are the things we are planning, and 2041 we would like to be a developed country.
All right, finally, what are the prospects for Nigeria-Bangladesh diplomatic relations?
Thank you very much. Bangladesh and Nigeria started their journey in terms of diplomatic relations in the 1970s. 2 years back, not really 2 years, in 2016, in November 2016, we opened our diplomatic mission in this country, and we are hoping that Nigeria will also do the same. And we have great relations with Nigeria. Many students are studying in my country, and the army officials, they are participating in different training programs in our country. The trade is not that much satisfactory, but we would like to enhance our trade and official exchanges, and we hope that in the coming days our relationship will reach to new heights.
That was the acting Bangladeshi High Commissioner to Nigeria, Her Excellency Shahnaz Ghazi, in an interview. For other reports on the 25th Commonwealth Summit, here is Ado Adamu also.
Welcome and thank you for joining us. The Queen of England has opened the Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit with an appeal to leaders to appoint her son, Prince Charles, their head. She made the appeal while hosting the 53 leaders gathered at Buckingham Palace. Addressing the gathering of dignitaries, royals and Prime Minister, the Queen said it was great pleasure and honor serving as their leader. Issues under discussion at the two-day summit include oceans conservation, cybersecurity, and trade between the countries. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has threatened to cancel planned talks with North Korea's leader if they are not fruitful. Speaking alongside Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at a media conference, the U.S. President was optimistic over a planned meeting with Kim Jong-un, but said he would respectfully leave if the summit will turn out unproductive. Abe implored the international community and the U.S. not to reward Kim just for showing up for talks. And NASA's test spacecraft has blasted off from Earth in a search for a new planet that could support life. Tests lifted off from Cape Canaveral in Florida Wednesday evening, local time, riding a SpaceX Falconet rocket. The transiting exoplanet survey satellite will spend 2 years scoring 85% of the sky and hundreds of thousands of its brightest stars. The Chief of Staff of Renegade General Khalifa Haftar's army in Libya have survived assassination attempt outside the eastern city of Benghazi, according to a military source. General Abdulrazak Nuteri and his convoy were heading to a military base in Al-Marash on Wednesday when they were targeted by a car bombing. A spokesperson of the Haftar self-styled Libyan National Army said in a statement on Twitter that the army general survived an assassination attempt. Nuteri is believed to be one of the two contenders in line to replace Haftar, who is currently receiving medical treatment in France following the report of stroke. And that is it from here. The news continues.
Now to legislative matters. The Nigeria Police Force has handed over the recovered maize to the management of the National Assembly. Correspondent Abdullahi Aminu has the details.
Deputy Inspector General of Police Abila Joshak handed over the maize to the clerk to the National Assembly, Sani Omolori. The clerk formally took the maize into the Senate chamber. Meanwhile, following the invasion of the Senate on Wednesday, where the maize was taken away, security was beefed up around the two chambers of the National Assembly on Thursday. People who had no business at the National Assembly were turned away.
In the meantime, Senate plenary Thursday commenced with a lengthy executive session presided over by the Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adegulu reports that following the closed-door session, the Deputy Senate President made some key statements relating to the disturbance at Wednesday's plenary.
Senate President Ike Ekweremadu commenced his address with commendations to various quarters for the support and shows of solidarity to the National Assembly over Wednesday's incident.
I want to register deep appreciation to you, my colleagues, for your understanding and maturity in the face of flagrant provocation. I want to also especially appreciate the leadership and members of the House of Representatives, the management and staff of the National Assembly. Ugly and provocative as the event of yesterday was, it shows that the entire nation and the world stood together in total condemnation of the ugly drama.
Ekweremadu also commended the security agencies for the swift recovery and presentation to the National Assembly management of the maize. What perhaps might be considered the critical aspect of the Deputy Senate President's comments are what he said regarding bringing the perpetrators of Wednesday's disturbance to justice.
We will get to the roots of this matter. We therefore call on the Inspector General of Police and the DGSSS to ensure that all those who plotted, aided, abetted and executed this dastardly affront on our democracy must be brought to book to serve as a deterrent to others. I want to assure Nigerians that we will never waver in the responsibility they have elected us to shoulder.
Normal legislative business continued thereafter with the passage of the Chartered Polymer Institute of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2018 and the passage of 4 bills for second reading, including a bill for an act to establish the National Child Protection and Enforcement Agency. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adegulu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the maize snatching scenario, which played out at the Red Chamber of the National Assembly, has been condemned by a cross-section of Deltons. Though the maize has been reportedly recovered by the police, respondents want drastic measures to be taken against the perpetrators of the undemocratic act. Austin Idemodu tells us more.
The incidents of maize snatching at the hallowed chambers of the legislature is not new to the political terrain in Nigeria. However, the recent invasion of the Red Chamber of the 8th Senate by hoodlums who made away with the maize has not gone down well with some Nigerians in Delta State. This is coming from the alleged involvement of Senator Ovie Omo Agege, representing Delta Central, who was recently suspended by the Senate.
What happened yesterday could be likened to a coup, and we must, as a country, due to those persons involved, irrespective of how highly placed they are, to what we do to those who decide to overthrow the government of a country, because they were playing with our collective will.
That is condemnable. I'm sure that my party APC has condemned it. Nigerians in their entirety condemn it. But again, people must not lose sight of what is taking place in the National Assembly. National Assembly must learn to operate within the confines of the law.
Court ruled that they don't have right to suspend anybody more than 14 days. So I think there's some mix-up somewhere.
Though there has been varied arguments on whether the suspension of the senator was valid or not. However, the manner in which the snatching of the maize was carried out has left more questions than answers on the nation's security.
You have series of check-ins, so there must be complicity in what has happened. which needs to be really investigated. It's not a thing they have to sweep under the carpet. Let us assume that it was Boko Haram. That means all our senators, even those in House of Rep, all of them would have been slaughtered.
Interestingly, the maize has been recovered by the security agents as Nigerians await the next line of action in bringing the perpetrators to book. From Asaba and Austin Ejemodu, NTA News.
In another development, the textile industry is one sector that is capable of creating more than 1 million jobs for Nigerians. This was the argument of members of the House of Representatives as they passed for second reading a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Textile Industry Trust Fund. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
In a prolonged debate, members of the House of Representatives argued on a bill that seeks to provide financial assistance to operators of textile industry in the form of loans and grants. The bill, sponsored by Representative Jerry Alaboso from Imo State, was generally supported.
We tackle the unemployment, promote made in Nigerian goods, and will contribute to the GDP. Once you don't have the technology of adding value to your product, you are going to be perpetually and eternally tied to the apron string of the developed world.
You see, the problem about us as Nigerians, we value imported items to the detriment of the locally produced.
What steps can we take to get this market competitive? Because the consumption of textile materials, especially in the northern part, is huge.
So I think we should go back to the basic. We start from the production of cotton. There is Bank of Industry that is specifically established to support industries and textile industry inclusive.
Two other bills for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic, Mulumfashi, Katsina State, sponsored by Representative Babangida Ibrahim, and the one for an act to establish the Federal College of Education, Efon Alaye, by Representative Johnson Oni, were also passed through second reading. Health matter also resonated on the floor as Representative Edward Pajok from Plateau State moved the motion for the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, to immediately check the practice of ripening fruits artificially by fruit sellers.
Banana, plantain, and oranges, fruit dealers use a chemical, calcium carbide, to ripen fruits, causing cancer.
You see them with all manner of things, but I thought I was coming from the farm. My sister said to me, this is the process of ripening it. They use carbide.
Food is also equivalent to drug in most cases. What we are talking about is simple respiratory process that is being hastened.
NAFDAC should do more than just alert us. They should go into the market as the mover of the motion is insisting.
7 bills were passed through first reading, including a bill for the establishment of the Bakassi Resettlement, Integration and Development Commission, sponsored by Representative Essien Ebenyong from the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. We take a short break now. More news when we return. Stay with us.
Say it as it is.
We always believe in going to mosque and going to church without looking at the nitty-gritty of even the family value.
If I am the president of the country or the Senate, we will publish every state what they collected. And in the next 6 months, we'll go to the state to say, if nothing has happened in this state, hold your governor to ransom.
Without that bill in place, no scientist in Nigeria is allowed to practice.
Issues of the moment. Join us every Tuesday on NTA International at 7:30 p.m. Issues of the moment. Let your opinion count.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Many thanks for being there. With 32 states currently benefiting from the Ecological Fund, the federal government has made tremendous stride in ensuring the well-being of Nigerians, especially those who are victims of ecological problems, and reiterated the commitment to do more in addressing ecological issues in the country. This was when the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, received a delegation of Urumba North and Urumba South communities of Anambra State on a thank-you visit to the presidential villa. State House correspondent Jide Unifadi reports.
The visit was a follow-up to the national burial given to late Alex Ekweme, former Vice President of Nigeria. The delegation, led by Ben Nwankwo, a member of the House of Representatives, thanked the federal government for giving the deceased a befitting burial. The delegation commended the federal government for tackling ecological challenges in the southeast and called on it to step up the action.
There is erosion haram in the southeast, particularly in Anambra State.
The Vice President also gave audience to Governor Emmanuel Udom of Akwa Ibom State.
It's been a good meeting. We've discussed the entire economy of the nation. I'm also looking forward to a whole lot of, happenings within this period, because I can see our economy should move much faster. Yesterday, the oil price was well over $73 a barrel. This is a good sign of an economy that should get into a boom very soon.
The governor appealed to the media, saying it's a critical time for objective and good reporting of Nigeria as a country. He also cautioned against making uncomplimentary comments that have the capacity to disrupt the peace of the country. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has reiterated the belief of the Buhari administration in the ability of the youths to take the country to greater heights. The administration, he says, remains committed to supporting young Nigerians in different areas, including politics. This was when he met a delegation of not too young to run campaigners who were in the villa to canvass for support of the federal government on their advocacy. State House correspondent Jide Unifadi again reports.
Entirely, I don't have any problem with people running for office at any age. As a matter of fact, I have benefited from being very young and being able to vote.
Experience is a great asset, and sharing this experience with youth as a leader while seeing it all prepares them for the great task ahead.
It's a government that is focused on the youth. We believe that the vibrancy that we need to take the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian nation as an idea to the next level lies with the youth. They are resilient, they are innovative, they have energy, they are bursting with a lot of life, and that is why this government is focusing a lot on what young people are doing in areas of technology, even in entertainment, in all areas of human endeavor.
At this meeting with Not Too Young to Run group, the Vice President reiterated that young Nigerians should be allowed to run for elective positions as they have demonstrated capacity and competence in the fields of technology, education, and other sectors of the economy. While congratulating the group on its achievements so far, the Vice President urged them to lend their voices to campaigns on issues related to anti-corruption. Samson Itodo led the delegation.
Here a few weeks ago, when we marched to the villa to deposit our letter of demand, calling on the executive and the Buhari-led administration to answer the call of history by assenting to Not Too Young to Run. And so we've just come here to place that demand on the need to assent to this bill once it is transmitted by the National Assembly to the executive for assent.
He says the group is excited to see a significant number of young people working in the office of the Vice President, which he notes showed the commitment of the administration to engage young Nigerians in the process of governance. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And still on politics, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it is willing to form alliance and work with like minds ahead of 2019 general elections. National Chairman of the PDP, Uche Secondos, stated this during the 79th National Executive Committee meeting of the party. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garbabin Nkudu reports.
Top on the agenda of the meeting, attended by notable National Executive Committee members, includes the state of affairs in the party, especially reconciliation of members and matters concerning 2 governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun states. Prince Uche Secondu stated that the Senator David Mark Committee on Ekiti election has succeeded in uniting aspirants, and similar efforts is being extended to Osun State chapter of the party.
We can't do it alone, and so you must join us to make the necessary contact. Let's open up conversation. Let's open up discussion with groups, interest groups, political parties. Whatever sacrifice needs to be made, whatever accommodation needs to be made, you have to make it. We form political parties to win an election, not just to socialize.
The party leaders also condemned the invasion of the National Assembly by some talks calling on the federal government to bring the culprit to book. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
In the meantime, determined to ensure credible, free and fair election come 2019, electoral stakeholders across the country converged in Calabar for leadership and conflict management training. The 5-day program seeks to improve the leadership capacity of INEC management at all levels and equip them on mitigating conflict situations during elections. Umar Basiadet reports.
The leadership and conflict management for electoral stakeholders lead training is one of the first to be conducted in Nigeria. National Chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, represented by the Resident Electoral Commissioner of Cross River State, Dr. Brian Frankland, harped on the importance of the training as elections draw closer.
We've gone through the planning process and we're in the almost implementation process now, and from the look of things, the very moment the election project budget is approved, all that we need in terms of equipment and other things is going to be actualized.
Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Mr. Oluwole Osaze-Usi, as well as other stakeholders, said effective communication remains critical in every electoral process.
It's in line with the Commission's commitment to training and generally improving the capacity of its staff.
To have credible election, you need to have a lot of explanation, a lot of communication, and we hopefully, with this heads of voter education of the 36 states, we can target more the message that INEC is trying to deliver.
At the end of the training, the INEC heads of voter education and publicity reps from the 36 states of the country are expected to acquire extensive skills and techniques on conflict management through effective voter education. In Calabar, Umar Basidet, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government, with the support of International Fund for Agriculture, has set up what is called Commodity Alliance Forum, aimed at supporting rural farmers in 7 states of the Savannah Belt. The program, which is climate adaptation-based, is expected to boost food production and eradicate poverty among farming communities. Musa Baba Aliyu has the details.
No doubt, climate change remains a major threat to food security and economic activities in rural areas as well as rural development. To help farmers finding a lasting solution to this challenge, the federal government and IFAD are committing $93.5 million to support agricultural activities in the affected areas. The goals of the program include reducing rural poverty, increasing food security, accelerating sustainable economic growth, and reducing vulnerability for smallholder farmers, particularly women and young people.
Then the project itself covers all the value chain, starting from an input standpoint, technical knowledge on how to grow climately smart, transformation in the terms of technology, small scale. At the same time, financing is available.
To work with community associations, so to work with organizations at the community level, to assist them to build their capacity to be able to identify and prioritize investments in community infrastructure.
The benefiting communities are to engage in the cultivation of 7 major crops, and they will be linked to off-takers.
Now the farmers know what they want. That's the most important. And we have formed them in groups in clusters, and they now have a stronger bargaining power through what we call community development associations.
The program is being implemented in 7 states comprising Borno, Jigawa, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe and Zamfara, which constitute the Savannah Belt of Nigeria. From Kano, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Over 200 graduates of various skill acquisition programs have been presented with empowerment tools by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons in Potiskum, Yobe State. Mohammed Musa Askira reports that the recipients of the tools, most of whom are IDPs, have vowed to utilize the items to refix their economic life shattered by Boko Haram insurgency.
There are 4 different items presented to these newly graduated students of skill acquisition program. These items include sewing machines, grinding machines, cap making materials and water pump machines for dry season farmers. The essence for the skill acquisition training and consequently the presentation of tools to the trainees, according to the representative of the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Mrs. Caesar Nasora Bada, is to boost their economic condition, having lost their means of livelihood to the years of Boko Haram insurgency, affecting 3 out of the 6 northeastern states of Nigeria. Distancing the gesture away from politics, Mrs. Caesar Nasora Bada said it is part of President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment to Nigerians by way of empowering them. The Director General, National Orientation Agency, Dr. Garba Abari, urged them to make good use of the empowerment tools to better their lots.
From the insurgency, our commerce, for which we have been known for decades, has suffered. Agriculture has suffered. Fishing and animal rearing has suffered. Trading generally has also suffered. So this kind of support will go a very long way in not only empowering the selected people, but also bringing back the spirit of commerce and the trade. And we thank the federal government for this gesture.
Representative of the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Mrs. Caesar Nasora Bada, alongside the DG NOAA, Dr. Garba Abari, issued the beneficiaries certificates indicating their successful completion of their respective skill acquisition program. Some of the beneficiaries who spoke to NTA News expressed gratitude to the federal government for the kind gesture. The event attracted representatives of traditional rulers, village and ward heads of the benefiting communities, among others. In Damatru, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
And for news from the business world, here is Rachel Schreibu.
We begin with the IMF economic forecast for Africa. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, predicts that sub-Saharan Africa's biggest economy, including Nigeria, will benefit from a global upswing this year. Nigeria, Africa's biggest economy, is projected to be at 2.6% growth before the end of 2018, compared with 2.4% at the beginning of the year. Ghana will probably be one of Africa's fastest growing economies at 7.8% this year, the poll predicts. This is up from the 7.0% in January. Kenya's economy, largely dependent on agriculture, is still expected to grow 5.5% this year, as it was in January. Meanwhile, the World Bank recognized Nigeria as the only low-income commodity-producing economy that has maintained public debt below 20% of GDP since 2016. It says the federal government needs to ensure it borrows responsibly and concentrates on prioritizing expenditures on investments. Before I go, here's a quick graphic illustration of the outcome of transactions at the Nigeria stock market. And that's business news.
You're still watching the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria. Another break is Bacon's. We shall be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Whole problem
started with the oil boom.
Because the parliament is the assembly of the people.
Frontiers, analyzing topical issues across the globe. It's analytical, educative, and incisive.
Traditionally, our people, are liberal in the sense that they sit down and dialogue among themselves.
The standards of the products that they bring into the country are not the same standards that they take in other countries where they invest in.
Let's look inwards and fight for the right thing always.
Explore all sides of issues, showing on NTA International every Wednesday at this time. Don't miss it.
NTA International.
Thank you for joining us again. The head of civil service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, has promised to look into challenges confronting the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development with a view to proffering solutions. This was at a peer review visit to the ministry.
Stagnation of your members. Well, the lady who talked about stagnation, you have to improve yourself. Talking about, finally, about training and orientation of your staff, all these are things we are already carrying on in our 8-point activity plan.
National Demographic Health Survey, yes, and we're part of it. We want to do census for our children, the people with persons with disabilities, and since we don't have fund, we can't afford to do it. It would be nice if we can get them.
The head of service called for extension of their mandates with a view to establishment Department of Psychology for Men to enhance reduction in violence against women and children as a result of financial stress and other psychological issues. Now to corruption. For Nigeria's fight against corruption to be holistic, religious leaders must be involved as government alone cannot tackle the menace. This all-inclusive strategy was the focus of a one-day workshop on promoting good governance and anti-corruption organized by the Just Foundation, an NGO in Abuja. Correspondent Ahmed Ondas Ahmed reports.
Corruption has been a threat to all facets of Nigeria, especially the economy, as its effect is felt in the everyday life of Nigerians. Effort by governments in the past and the present one is aimed at combating the scourge in order to give Nigerians dividends of democracy. To this end, no governmental organizations in the country are advocating the utilization of religious clerics in the anti-corruption crusade, as informed by this gathering.
Fighting corruption, especially in Nigeria today, is beyond the ability of the government alone. It should be duty for everybody to fight corruption. The young and the aged, men and women, civil servants, those who are on private sector, the ulamas, the pastors, leaders of the religion actually have a bigger role to play.
It's our little way of supporting Nigeria and the government in ensuring that we also throw our own punch against corruption.
I think we should all support this government. We appreciate what they are doing, this fight against corruption, because it is the thing that is affecting everybody all across.
The forum is having participants drawn from both the academic and religious organizations to brainstorm on the best possible way to combat the scourge in Nigeria. In Abuja, Ahmed Ondas Ahmed, NTA News.
And the Delta State government says the entrenchment of sustainable peace in the Niger Delta region to boost oil and gas fortunes is a task.
Is occasioning it. And that is when the economic environment is not enabled. Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you a story. I left my village some time ago in the past, and I was attacked by armed robbers. And I drove back. This person in front of me was attacked. I drove back to a police post. And I asked the policeman, oh, please come, let us use gun and go and prevent this. He told me, Oga, make you no talk like that, oh. That if, say, we get arms here, that these people don't come sack us. And you ask, is it because na one big camera kwisi kona aguma adehenko? Is it because the barber does not know how to cut hair? Or is it because the razor is not sharp? Is the police equipped? And the story in Kwara State gives away our state of readiness. If you have a concentration of 3 banks in a place, it means that that town is sufficiently commercially viable. It means there must be police presence around the corner. But if they come and they were able to rob one bank, and the second bank could not get ready, they robbed the third one, the fourth one could not get ready, something is wrong. We need to have a holistic approach. So there has to be a proper approach to it. And the proper approach is that Parliament, as a body, have to deal with its security committees. Let us find out fundamentally what the challenge is. Not excuses, not blames. If you want to give excuses, please give way. I support this motion. We should know what is happening in our various states. The character of Boko Haram, herdsmen, the other insurgency, militancy, kidnapping. My friend from Birnin Gwari can't go home. So what an honorable member, you can't get home. 13 people from Nigerian armed forces were killed and they were buried about 2 weeks back. So what are we talking about? The state is in a total dysfunction. So we must support this motion and make sure it succeeds. Thank you very much.
Rules and business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff. I represent the good people of Buruku. My dear colleagues, I'm from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, I too stand to lend my voice to this motion. Mr. Speaker, before the House sat, Honorable Tokwe came over to me and was showing me the gory pictures of those who were killed. And it's like we are living in an urban jungle. My dear colleagues, I can confirm in my vantage position as Chairman Rules and Business that insecurity is one subject that we've had the largest, the highest number of motions on this floor. And I'm sure it will continue because insecurity is the single most important subject that we must tackle. I think if we have to cut out Section 14, subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution and place on its seat to remind ourselves that that is the primary purpose why we are here, we should do it. So for me, I think it's not too much that every day that we have such an issue, we should come here and discuss until we find a solution to it. Even though personally I think as a parliament, we do have our inadequacies. Now, what do we do? What do we do? Do we invite the security chief to a summit again like we did several months back, 14 or so months back? What did that yield? We've had more killings. In fact, in my home state of Benue, we have never known it worse than presently we do have, because even now with the cat race, you have more killings. More killings now that the race is going on. So, and insecurity is one democratic phenomenon in this country because it doesn't discriminate. Every part, if it doesn't happen to you today, it will happen tomorrow. So what do we do? I agree with the Deputy Speaker that we have to look at the fundamental issue. Because if you buy arms and give to the police, would that solve the problem? Maybe to some extent. But we have a problem now that the police themselves are feeling insecure. Tokwe was telling me off record that the police in the distance of those that could not escape, all of them were mowed down. All of the policemen in the at the station that couldn't run, that couldn't escape. All of them were mowed down, and he showed me the pictures. So it is an issue that bothers, because it has come to a stage like the policemen, we too are afraid. The police are afraid. We who are supposed to secure the people are afraid. So we have to look at it in a very holistic manner. Because I personally have brought quite a few motions on insecurity here. We have come to resolutions, and the killings have continued. So what will make this one different? I think that's the challenge that we have on our hands. And I think I go along with the DS, that a more holistic approach to this thing, rather than taking each one on its own merit or demerits, because that would mean that coming back again and again and again, and you know, it continues like a broken record. We repeat ourselves every day that the issue of insecurity comes on the floor. Mr. Speaker, I'm worried, but I think we just have to sit together and iron out the bullet points of insecurity in this country and tackle them. Thank you so much.
Amendment from Honorable Nkiruka Oyechuja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the mover of the motion was saying, he said the police should investigate. So it's an intervention that police may be doing their own, but they mandate the House Committee on Police to investigate the matter and report back to the House in 2 weeks.
Any seconders to the amendment? Honorable Mari.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, Engineer Solomon Maredi is my name, and I represent the very good people of Mangu Bokos Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from the home of peace and tourism, Plateau State. I rise to second the amendment ably moved by my colleague. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. I think in the resolution we have we carried a prayer for a minute silence. I think so. Honor of those killed in the unfortunate incident. So may we please rise to observe a minute silence. And may the gentle souls of the departed rest in perfect peace. Amen. Honorable Madaki.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, my name is Aliyu Sani Madaki, and I represent the Ala Federal Constituency.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, respected honorable members. My name once again is Julius Babu Zopondi. I represent the very good people, the very hospitable people of Butu Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, is Zonkame from Delta State. Named to address the plight of the victims of landslide and Togo community in Butu Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the House notes that on the 18th and 26th March 2018, two massive landslides hit Togo community of Butu Federal Constituency, which resulted in destruction of property worth millions of naira and displacement of indigents living in the affected areas. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, aware that consequent to this landslide, members of Togo community are faced with lack of food, loss of shelter, and farmlands, exposure to communicable diseases and other devastating effects, including imminent death if not urgently addressed. Also aware that the non-completion and abandonment of the shoreline protection project awarded to Vibrant Flow Station and Geotechnical Nigeria Limited by Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, led to the avoidable but dreadful landslide. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the House resolved: 1. Urge the National Emergency Agency, Management Agency, NEMA, to, as a matter of urgency, provide relief materials to Tumor community in Putu Federal Constituency so as to ameliorate the sufferings of the displaced persons. 2. Also urge the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, to immediately recall the contractor, Vibro Flotation, Geotechnical Nigeria Limited, to site to complete the shoreline protection project so as to avoid future landslide in the area. 3, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, mandate the Committee on Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, an emergency and disaster preparedness to ensure compliance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honorable members. I so move.
Honorable Evelyn Oboro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Evelyn Omabonwa Oboro, representing Okme Saple, Uvia Federal Constituency from Delta State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague, Honorable Julius Pondy. I so second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This is a motion on disaster, so I'll put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Fifth order of the day is a motion calling for audit and upgrade of facilities at the Benin Airport, Edo State, standing in the name of Honorable Omosede Ibinidium. Honorable Ibinidium is now invited to move the motion. Chairman, Rules and Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I move that item number 5 on the order paper be stepped down as Honorable Ibinidium is not available to move it.
Fifth item on the order paper stepped down by leave of the House. Sixth order of the day is a motion on need to investigate the proposed payment of $17 million to lawyers by the Attorney General